Hello everyone! Today we are going to be looking through the twin pose of half moon pose, which is revolved half moon. Now this posture requires a lot of stability and we're working through twisting through the core, so I think easy twist is going to be a great one for you to come into to prep the body. And then similarly with that, there's going to be additional poses such as hamstring lengthening postures that are going to be useful for you. So we're going to be discussing that too. So second pose that I think is useful is Anjaneyasana, your low lunge, because you're obviously sinking into the hips there and really trying to establish some grounding prana through your lower limbs. Revolved triangle is that next pose that is going to be really useful in prepping us for the revolved half moon because we are coming into that twisted balance posture. Next we have revolved side angle pose. I think this pose is going to be really useful for you similarly because you're having to really find that twist through your central channels. Of course, for those of you who wish to take this up a notch, you can start to extend your back leg. Keep the gaze down to the floor, and this applies to your half moon pose as well. Always look down to the floor if you're feeling imbalanced, and then over time you can start to shift the gaze up once you're feeling a little bit more confident. The next pose we're going to visit is your pyramid pose. Now, why is this a helpful asana for us? It's because, as mentioned earlier, half moon is going to require a lot of flexibility through your hamstrings. So when you come into postures such as this one, we're really starting to focus on extension through your muscles running through those hamstrings a little bit at a time. You can release your hands down, or you can keep those hands again clasped behind your back in prayer, or you can even place the hands on blocks. Going to be many different options for you here. Next, we have ARDHA HANUMANASANA, half splits. Really trying to feel that steady stream of energy running through the extended leg here. To feel more, remember to flex your toes upwards and think about sinking your chest down to the ground. UTTANASANA, your standing forward fold, is a very useful asana to practice as well. Start by bending the knees, release the neck down, and start to compress that chest in between your inner thighs. If it feels good, I tend to like to encourage my students to pulse here, and even in my own personal practice, pulsing is a nice way, so keep that little micro bend in the knees and then pulsing up and down. And then over time, you should start to feel your hamstrings lengthen out a little bit more so it feels slightly more comfortable for you. Now, for those of you who suffer from dizziness or lightheadedness when you come upside down, you can perform the same pose but in a seated position. So coming into your PASCHIMOTTANASANA here, again keeping your toes flexed, fold your chest down onto the thighs. Keep a little micro bend in the knees, start there, and then perhaps over time you start to ease your heels to the front edges of your mat. So before coming into your revolved half moon, we want to be able to try and find stability through a one-legged standing balance. So really, saying hello to that sort of ankle strengthening exercise here as you push that standing leg down to the ground. I suggest Warrior 3, but any sort of standing balancing postures here is going to be helpful to improving the concentration, to seek stability and extension in that standing leg through any balance of your choice. Make sure you use blocks or little pugs to keep your balance if you need, and use your breath as well, everyone. So the sister pose, as I mentioned, is half moon, ARDHA Chandrasana. And in this pose here, you really want to ensure that your hand, I tend to keep my hand that's lowered down to the ground a little bit out towards the side, so not directly in front of my foot. And I find this helps me with my balance here. Similarly, when you're coming into your revolved half moon for the first time, make sure you use props. So blocks are going to be really useful for you here. In this case, my right hand is down on that block and I shimmy the block out past my left foot, just a tiny bit. The idea is to stack your left hand above the right and keep kicking that back foot, so feeling the energetic lines of energy pushing through those feet and the toes. When you feel ready, maybe you don't need your blocks, you can simply place the hands down, again keeping that gaze down to the ground, and then hopefully finding your balance. Keep breathing. Send the gaze up and actively reach the fingertips all the way up. Keep lifting that inner ankle and feel that standing foot strongly directing energy upwards.